got up and put the radio on. I listened to the story that the vicar read on Radio 2.
Yeah, that could be good.
He was saying how Jesus was 33 when he died. He said he was more into the idea of doing a lot in your life than living for ages. This was linked to the news about the doctor who's come up with some stuff that he's been injecting himself and his wife with that makes you age better. I looked it up on the internet. It wasn't worth them doing it because they are already old looking. I don't know why people want to stay looking young. You can wear a bald head better if you're old because hairs are replaced by wrinkles.
It's drivel.
No, it's not drivel. It's
Pointless. A pointless entry to a diary, that.
It's not, because that could be like an important bit in like world history.
What?
The fact that someone's trying to make people not age. Age is good, isn't it? When you see an old person.
That's been going forever.
What has?
People trying to age better.
No, but he's talking about if you're 90, he wants people to look like they're 30. And that's not good, because how would the world run when that's going on?
Well, I agree. But when again, it's not a revelation.
If I like chatting to old people, because they know a lot of stuff. So if I'm sat on a train and someone's old, I'm happier talking to them about...
They get up and move after about 10 minutes.
Well, less about that many of them are infirm and can't.
Yeah, they have to stay there and listen to this one.
But yeah, even that means that they're getting more out of life in a way, because they don't move about as much, so they have more thinking time. It is weird how that happens to you as you get closer to death.
Jesus.
You know, you're not working as much because you're resting, and you can think back about your life, and you can think, oh, I had a good one. Actually, it's not been that bad. Whereas if...
But you must have started that now, because you've been doing nothing for the past 3 months.
Yeah, but like I'm saying, it is a good thing for you to do, to sort of think about what you've been doing with your days and your weeks.
And how do you assess your life so far? With all this spare time you've had in your hands and moping around and moaning about your illness and just sitting round, right? You've been introspecting, have you?
Yeah.
Go on then. What have you come up with?
I haven't come up with anything. I'm just, you know, I have an all right life, and things are changing.
Oh, keep saying that.
No, but you don't know how much they are changing, to the point of, I don't know if I mentioned the squirrel eating Mars bars, but from that, from that happening to monkeys opening bottles with lids on them, to, it's mental out there. It's madness what is going on. And all I'm saying is old people need to be old people. You need oldness. You need to see old people. You need to go, right, they might have a solution. They've been on the earth longer. Quick, we need an answer. How old are you? I'm 32. Well, you look 78.
I don't know what you're saying! I don't know who that conversation was with, why you got angry, and I think you made the opposite point that you were making at the beginning. If you say you're 32, you look 78, no, you were saying about it would be a problem if you were 78 and looked 32. Well, I don't know what you're saying. You came down on the wrong side then. You did that whole thing and you bollocksed it up again in your brain.
I'm just saying, either way, you need to have people who look old. Otherwise, who's in charge?
I don't know what you mean. Right. So you say you're saying it'd be alright to make 78-year-olds look 32, as long as there were some 32-year-olds that look 78, as long as you've got old-looking people.
No, but say
Can I tear this page out? Because it's worthless.
What I mean is, when I went to the doctors, I saw the specialist, right, about the kidney stones. I was asking him all the straight questions.
Go on.
Is it life-threatening?
No.
You know, how long am I going to be out?
Couple
all the
of
rest
days.
of it, right? Now,
as it turned out, it is life-threatening, and you've been out for 3 months whinging about the fucking thing. Strange.
Now, he was quite old. He looked about 55, and that reassured me in a way. In a way, it didn't, because he's one of them doctors who didn't open his eyes much, and I kind of thought, I hope you open them wider. I don't know
what you're talking about. What do you mean?
What?
What do you mean he didn't open his eyes much?
One of those sort of doctors who's either that overworked, that is, he does that, you know, when he's tired, so he's going, right, what we're going to do is, and he's doing that with his eyes shut, he's talking like that.
This is radio.
I know, but I'm telling you, so you can see.
But people are meant to be listening to this.
But if they can't imagine me with my eyes shut...
Well, tell them you got your eyes shut. Just say he had his eyes shut.
Yeah, he had his eyes shut.
Oh. Had he been reading this? Bored stupid, I imagine. He's just trying to get a...
Well, do you know what I mean? Or I don't know if it's because he's tired or if he's that educated that some people know so much you don't even have to look at it.
You don't know what you're I'm talking about?
Intelligent people.
Who is so educated that they don't need to open their eyes.
You see it, you see like...
What is that? Who's that bloke over there? Is he blind? No, he's been reading too much. He doesn't open his eyes anymore, doesn't he? No.
Old people who you see wearing tweed and what have you, and they're really posh and they talk, and whenever they talk their eyes are shut and they
I
open...
don't know what this observation is.
I don't understand why you've never seen that.
I've never seen an old, educated man wearing tweed who doesn't bother open his fucking eyes.
Steve,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Steve, have you seen... Do you know what I mean? When people don't sort of open their eyes when they're talking to you, and it can be quite annoying, because it's like they're saying, I'm not interested about you sat there, I'm not bothered if you're listening or not, I'm saying what I'm saying because I say what I say. And it can be quite annoying.
If he has got his eyes closed, he's probably just trying to absorb what you're saying and think carefully about
probably.
it, so he doesn't misdiagnose you.
I'm not having a go at him.
Well, it sounds
I'm
like
just
you are.
saying he was 50 odd, and I was happy that he was there telling me...
I don't know why you were watching his eyes when he was telling you about your insides.
Because you can tell a lot by people's eyes. That's what I said about jellyfish. But, you know, just lines in a face tell a few stories, and I don't think we should get rid of them lines.
Looks like the world's fattest man is having an operation to get rid of some of the fat.
Yeah.
He has to have an iron bed because that's the only thing that can hold his weight. There's also a man whose skull has fell out. He's in hospital somewhere. I hate that. It would make me panic. The hospital is busy with people coming in to look at their head.
What are you talking about there? That tells us nothing. Right, it's impossible for a skull to fall out.
How are scholars in 10,000 years going to be... What are they going to decipher from that?
They can sort of go...
There's not enough incident detail.
But how did his skull fall out?
Circulation problems.
But answer the question. How did his skull fall out? Fall out of what?
He was at home, and I don't know if he was combing his hair or something, but it come off.
What did?
His skull.
What do you mean, his skull? Do you know what the skull is?
It's a part of the head.
Well, no, it's the structure of the head. It's the bone. Do you mean the top of the skull?
This is only useful if you have all the salient facts. Then it would be of interest to us. We could.
Well, I couldn't take that on. I'm busy. I'm not going to start looking into stuff in depth. Just get the details.
God. You're such an idiot. You are the best, idiot in the world.
Well, I don't want to be premature, but that entry is followed by, I injured my toe the other day by dropping the toaster. Instead of letting it hit the floor, I tried to catch it with my foot. I didn't think I'd done any harm, but my nail looks like it could fall off. I might show it to the doctor when I get me kidney stones out. We could easily get by without nails on the feet. They are more trouble than they're worth.
You're so wrong. You're so wrong.
I think on the days when cavemen without shoes and animals need nails, I don't think we need them now. I honestly... Because you hear about ingrowing toenails, right? So that's a problem. You've got to cut them. Stuff gets under there and gets infected. Get rid of them, you won't have any of that. As long as you wear shoes.
No, you'd have unprotected toes and fingers, wouldn't you?
I didn't say on the fingers, just on the toes.
So why do you need them on the fingers and not the toes?
Because you use your hands to do stuff. I've said about toenail out, it'd be good to have it growing on the head.
What?
Just having like a sheet of it, just like a nail on the forehead. You wouldn't look weird because we'd all have it. I'm not saying...
What are you talking about now?
I'm just saying, I don't want to go on about evolution and stuff because we've done it all.
What do you think the skull is for?
No, but I mean on the outside, so that when you bang your head, it's a little bit more protection. Like people, I mean, you're looking at me like that, why do you wear a helmet on a bike then?
Because the bike wasn't meant to be invented. We weren't meant to whiz along at 70 miles an hour with evolution.
I know, but because life's changing, like you've said...
But you can't go, let's evolve, let's re-evolve.
Okay, let's assume we've got this nail on our head that's growing out of our forehead.
So we look like one big thumb.
Yeah. Which weirdly, Carl kind of, I mean, you can almost imagine it looking at Carl now. You can imagine a big nail there. Does the nail continue to grow? Do we have to trim the head nail?
Yeah, in the same way you get a haircut.
Why is that preferable in your mind to just wearing a crash helmet in instances where you might have something hit your head?
Just because, for a start, helmets, you have to carry them around with you. That's one thing that's put me off having a motorbike. Whenever you see someone on a motorbike, it's all like the clothes they've got to wear. And it's like a big upheaval, isn't it? It's you know, if you have a car, you can get in with your shorts on, your flip-flops on. A motorbike, it's like you're an astronaut or something, and you're only nipping down the road for some milk. Do you know what I mean? So, what I'm saying is
But does it annoy you having to put shoes on every day, and underpants, and a vest, and a... I don't know.
No, but once
a
they're on,
jacket.
I'm not carrying them. They're on me. If I had to then take the shorts off for whatever reason and walk around holding them, I'd go, I can't be bothered. I don't like holding a bag. I don't like bags. We carry too much around with us now. I don't like carrying stuff. It's just a hassle, isn't it?
It's just endless things he doesn't want to do, doesn't like doing, doesn't like carrying bags. Who the hell has a gripe about carrying bags? Why is that a concern?
Because it's stuff that's on
I
you.
love the way that he wouldn't mind having a nail growing out of his fucking head, but he doesn't want to carry a bag.
What's good with it is, everybody's got one of these. And
But it's not going to happen, Carl.
And the most important thing in your body, apart from the heart, is your brain. So protect that, not the toes. The toes we can get by
Please,
without the toes.
people.
But your head's important, isn't it? There's a lot of stuff in your head. And I know all this just after seeing the Bodyworks thing. I went to see it's a show on where there's a load of like dead bodies and that. And you can see how much stuff's in the body. And there's loads of stuff. There's nothing in there that you don't need. It's all doing stuff. Everything in your body.
We've been telling you that for years.
But you reckon you don't need the toenails?
Yeah, that's on the outside. I'm saying everything that's on the inside of your body, right?
You don't need the appendix.
No, but it doesn't that depend on what lifestyle you have?
Well, it's a hangover of when we probably ate a lot more cellulose, and it's.
Yeah, well, they might come back. Things are always coming back, aren't they? So if people start eating them again.
What about male nipples?
Sort of looks all right though, doesn't it? Because the chest is quite plain, so with nothing on it, you'd go, oh, what's this? It just balances it out. I think it looks all right. I think it works. So leave it. But what were we talking about?
But wouldn't you rather have maybe a little like a rib cage around the testicles? Because you get a whack in them and it
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Not an invention, Carl. It's not an invention, and we can't do it. But
would you be able to sit down still? Because that's the good thing with them at the moment is movement. So it sort of works. But don't they say they said something about testicles at the Bodyworks thing?
well, they're on the outside.
Put yours away, Carl. You're not one of the exhibits.
They're on the outside because they have to be a few degrees below body temperature for the, I think, the Sertoli cells to
So that's an odd design. That they had to go there because it's a bit of an odd place to have them.
Where would you suggest? Dangling from the throat?
Sort of.
I want to redesign you, right? You can possibly do this now. This is something you can actually do, probably. You could probably have your testicles anywhere. So where would you want them?
You've got a giant forehead nail.
Yeah. You could have that. It probably wouldn't grow, but we could certainly have that.
I just mean like, because if all it's about is temperature, you don't want to get them too hot.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting hot down there. You're wearing pants and what have you. So have them nearer to the outside of the body.
Well, they are on the outside of the body.
No, but we wear pants over them.
So you wear pants over them because they're testicles, and polite society suggests that you don't show your testicles.
Yeah, well, that's the odd thing, isn't it? That's what's happened somehow. That we've said testicles shouldn't be seen.
Well, then just cut a hole in your trousers. If it's only about, keeping them cool, and because they're too hot, why don't you just hang them out your shorts?
Because there's too many sort of seats that are shared these days, isn't there? But what I'm saying is...
Well, what are you saying?
Where would you put them?
Somewhere like, sort of under the ears. So it sort of just looks like lobes.
So you would redesign your body to have a pair of testicles hanging from your ears.
And when people are sometimes talking, they do sort of mess with their ears, and they're always saying check for lumps. More handy.
Had a late night last night because I stayed up to watch a programme about monkeys.
It's already good.
Of course you did.
It's already good.
Now, before I read on, is this not some kind of monkey news? Is this not a late return to monkey news?
Well, it's not that good.
Is it not? Whereas the other monkey news is...
Oh, chimpanzee, that's some more shit.
This is what he says. This is what he gleaned from the programme about monkeys. It sat on a bridge and wanted stuff off people to walk over the bridge.
What?
So it was acting as some kind of toll booth,
This
was
is
it?
ridiculous.
No, it was a bridge in like the jungle.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
And it's a monkey that sat on a bridge, and a lot of tourists go through the area.
No, it's a monkey
to look at them.
who realised that if he sits there, he'll get stuff because it look like it's a cute little chimp begging.
No, but every time.
Yeah, because you give a monkey, I'm as bad as him now. If you give a chimpanzee a banana, and he starts realising that humans have things to give.
Yeah, but it's all
Squirrels
sorts of
learn
stuff.
that. I mean, you don't go, you wouldn't say, went to the park, the squirrel's waiting at the gate. You have to give them a toll to go in. They're only going to give them a nuts, they come up to you every time. You fucking idiot.
Went to bed after watching it and fell asleep thinking about it on the bridge right now. It's a bit bad really, because the monkey should work harder for its food. It made me remember the slug I saw yesterday that was eating bird poo. Nobody would ever help a slug with food like they do with ducks and monkeys. A slug's life is pretty bad. The only time they come out of their den is when it's raining.
Den.
So even their days out are depressing.
It is. Do you know what I mean?
No.
It is like, it's a horrible thing to be, innit? A slug.
Love him talking about what is it like to be a slug.
No, just because like the monkey, even though it was being quite aggressive, everyone was like, "Oh, give it some water," and it was well like kitted out. It had like chocolate bars, bottled water, some like fizzy stuff, and all that.
An iPod. It was listening to Monkey News.
He could have had one if he wanted one. It was getting away with murder on that bridge, and that's just because it was furry. Yeah, if that was like a blob, like a slug, there's no way people would be that friendly towards it, and it just annoys me how you get this pecking order for like no matter what creature you are, favouritism. And that slug was only eating that bird poo because it wasn't being offered stuff.
If it was offered toffees or whatever.
Well, it's just sad, isn't it? It's come to that. That's what its life has come to.
Yeah, but it's not a mollusk
like I
that's
said.
down on its fucking luck.
It didn't live in a big country house,
No,
and his
but it
wife
is.
left it. The kids went. It started hitting the bottle.
And I kind of thought, and look, they do only come out in the rain, and it's depressing, and it'll probably get killed in a bit. And that was its last meal. I just
Last meal.
But it wouldn't prefer steak and chips, Carl. It doesn't have.
It must like a leaf or at the end of the day, it's an insect. They love a
It's
leaf.
not an insect.
Well, it's part of that gang. It's part of that. No, it's part of
They
that.
hang out together. They hang out together.
Why do you think it's part of that
Because
gang?
it knocks about in the woods in the same place as a spider does. But what I'm saying is they're eating boring stuff because that is what's
It's
in
not
their
boring
area.
stuff to them. They're not. I have no opinion of it at all. They take in sustenance.
No, but where you are is what you eat. When I'm in London, I'll have beans on toast for lunch. On holiday, what? Tapas? Go on, I'll have a bit. So it's whatever you eat, what's in that area.
Suzanne went off to work and I went to the shop to buy some envelopes. The shop was empty, but the fellow behind the counter was on the phone and just kept talking even though he could see I was waiting. I started to count backwards from 20. When I got to 6, he hung up and served me. I won't use the shop again. Question, why count backwards from 20?
So he's thinking, what's going to happen at 1? If I start counting from 1, he's going, well, let him carry on.
What, out loud?
So not really loud, but like more of a mouth action, so he could see who was doing it. You know, like
Sorry, you just started miming counting backwards to a man in a shop.
he's on the phone. The
Yes.
shop is empty. I
Yes.
thought he'd like me custom. He could have served me and stay on the phone. Even though I don't like that, at least he's still doing what he needs to do.
I'd have said,
working the
sorry,
shop.
can I just get these, please?
Yeah. Well, I stood there and I thought, it's annoying me now, my kidneys aching, and I started to get a bit of a sweat on. So I thought, right, I'm going to give him 20 seconds, and if he hasn't got off the phone, I'm leaving. And when I got to about 6, he served me. What's wrong with that? Again,
You are
giving
one
yourself,
of the strangest people.
it's just giving yourself a thing. I could have been stood there for
Free.
ages.
He's one of the strangest people who's free to walk
It's
the
about,
streets.
no, I set myself a little target, and I thought, I don't want to waste another 30 seconds in here, I'll give him 20. It worked. He served me at 6.
But it didn't work. Yeah, but did he do it because you were doing that, or did he finish his phone call?
I don't know, I was busy counting.
Looked at what's been going on in the world. There was a human head attached to a seagull's body in a jar.
Is that all it says?
This is the sort of weird stuff that goes on behind surgery doors. I doubt it ever flew because the head would have been too heavy.
Well, of course it wasn't. It didn't happen. It wasn't live.
No, but they try this stuff, don't they? That's like that programme I watched with a
Well,
monkey.
who has ever tried to put a human head on a seagull's body?
They've done loads of stuff like that. It's part of us moving on, isn't it?
What are you talking about?
I'm not going
Carl?
to get into arguing about
Well,
science
you're
because
wrong.
it's all
Don't
behind
talk
closed doors.
shit.
How do you think we can change a heart now from another body? You have to try things out. It's trial and error. all sorts of weird stuff goes on in hospitals, but we let it happen because it's to help us out in the long run, isn't it?
But what are they aiming towards when they're going to find out if you can put a head on a seagull's body? What is that? What are they want to learn, and how do they want to apply that knowledge? A new heart, it is obviously for a reason. It saves a life.
Yeah.
What is this to save money on transport? Instead of getting a bus pass, you go, can I put my head on the seagull's body? I go, well, it won't work. Well, try it.
Yeah, but there is odd things like that. Like, I saw a fish the other day, right?
Right.
And honestly, it's the weirdest thing. It was just like a blob with a face. Now, I would never have said, yeah, let that swim about. I'd have killed it from day dot. I would have gone, get rid of that.
Oh, God! Under what circumstances would you have killed that from day dot?
I'm just saying, looking at it, I'd say that does not work. And it looked sad. It looked like it didn't want to be about.
Have you got her number? Now, of course, for those of you who have not been keeping abreast of Carl's medical complaints, just bring us up to speed, Carl. You had to go into hospital this week because previously you'd had.
I've been in
treatment.
and out. Honestly, I've been in and out of that hospital just with kidney problems, really painful and what have you. And
He had kidney stones, alright.
No, but
sorted.
seriously.
Monday. I had a bit of a lie-in today because I have to get up early for my operation tomorrow. Not only have I got to have tubes shoved up my knob, but I also have to get up at 5:50. Suzanne said I could have what I want for my last dinner. It's not your last dinner, you're going for an operation.
Yeah, but you can't take things for granted these days.
Oh,
I had shepherd's pie and peas. Suzanne made it from scratch. As nice as it was annoying. Because making stuff from scratch means loads of pots, and it's my job to do the washing up. So much as the food was nice, there was loads of pans and that. People who get their last dinner on death row don't have to wash up. Got up at 5:55. You were supposed to be getting up at 5:50 on the other page. You were 5 minutes late getting up.
He's often late.
Often late.
No, just because I needed to have water. Before 6 o'clock, they said, don't have anything after 6.
We'll get up at 5:50 then, like you were planned to.
Don't
You're having
take 10
5 minutes sleeping.
Doesn't take 10 minutes to have water, though, does it?
Well, why did you say 5:50 in the first place?
Because then it tricks me head, doesn't it? Going, oh, I had an extra 5 minutes.
Tricks me head. Because then it tricks me head.
It. Got to the hospital and had to wait in the waiting room. There was another 9 people in there waiting to be sorted. I got called in. They sat me on a bed and took all my details down. 5 minutes later, I'd been knocked out. I got woke up when they were ripping a pipe out of my throat. I felt more rough this time. The doctor came to see me and said he couldn't find a stone, so I must have passed it. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah, we filled your kidney with water and expanded it, and there was no hiding place. I sat in the recovery room for an hour while they found me a bed. One of the fellows who was sat in the room with me this morning got wheeled in. They couldn't wake him up. All the nurses were laughing because he didn't want to wake up. I bet they were laughing at me when I was in the theatre. Someone told me they totally strip you when they're operating. I would have looked like the alien on the Boswell incident.
Boswell! Boswell!
It's quite a nice analogy if it weren't for the fact that you said Boswell. It's the Roswell incident. Didn't sleep much through the night because there was a 60-year-old fella shouting at the nurse about his pillows. I don't think I slept through a full hour with one thing or another going on. My bed was next to the toilet, so I kept hearing the flush.
How do they sleep in hospitals, though? They wake you up to give you fucking sleeping pills and things, don't they? How do you sleep in there? It's always hot. It's always like 90 degrees.
There's no air.
Is that to make you drink water?
I don't know what it is. There's no air. There's an old fella across from me who kept breaking wind. He didn't even try and cover it. He was just of that age where he didn't care. Just like, that's what I do. I'm in the hospital, leave me alone.
What do you mean?
Just, I don't know what was wrong with him. I talked to him because at first I felt sorry for him. I was a little bit like, you know, he's had no visitors. No one's calling him up, so I'll talk to him. But then he got that familiar with me that he'd just be doing it whilst I'm chatting to him. Just like he's my granddad or something. It's just like, oh, that's what he does. It's like, well, I'm ill as well. Stop doing that. Honestly, unbelievable. He didn't even try and cover it with a cough. It was just like, that's...
With a cough! How would you cover it with a cough?
Just non-stop.
Got home and sat down. My pains are coming back, but the doctor said this would happen and that my insides are still in shock, so I need to take it easy. It's 9 o'clock. I'm in agony. I can't do the diary for the rest of the day. Jesus. So you may as well just tell us then what happened.
Right, well, yeah, after that, went back in. Suzanne just got frustrated with me because I was rolling about on the floor and she was trying to watch Arthur, right? So that was on the other night.
I thought it was when your lodger.
So,
And she said, look, if you're in pain, do something. She said, you know...
you went and got a cold plate.
Yeah. No, use an ashtray. Plates are for liver damage.
She said, right, come on. Let's, I can't put up with this. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. So we left the flat and what have you. Got in a taxi. He filled up on the way, which was annoying.
He did it.
That
He
is
did.
cheeky.
That really, I mean, he could
On
see
the
us
way
in
to the
pain.
hospital.
So,
Because he's not an ambulance driver.
Did you explain that to where you
no,
were going
I
to?
was in that sort of thing where you just can't be bothered. Do you know what I mean? I was in a sweat and
He
stuff.
came back with a scratch card and some barbecue.
Briquettes, yeah.
So anyway, he gets us there and he doesn't charge us, which is pretty decent of him.
That's all right, yeah.
So I go in and there's like, I don't know if you've been in like A&E at like,
Grim, I imagine.
2:30 in the morning. It's
Oh.
just depressing. Fluorescent light doesn't help because it makes everyone look iller than they actually are. So in there was a woman who was just sat there crying. She wasn't holding onto any part of her body. She was just sat there whinging. And when you're feeling bad, you've got that going on. So you just want to tell her to shut up. There was a fella who was like moped over in a wheelchair that someone had just chucked in.
Moped over.
It looked like somebody had just sort of found him and wheeled him in.
Nurse? Who's the guy moped over?
So this gay fella came through. And,
How do you know he was gay?
just the way he was. I'm not having a go. He was a good fella. Do you know what I mean?
A doctor, you mean?
No, he was a nurse.
Right.
And he came through and just sort of went, "Oh, how are you?" And I was like, "Oh, I've had better days." So he got
As
me
you
on
mentioned in the diary, I remember the first time when I came here, they said the nurse might put a tablet up my arse. I thought the chances of that happening had just increased.
Oh, Carl!
Yeah, but I would have let him do it. Honestly, I was that sort of out of it. That,
Of course you'd let him do it. He's a qualified nurse.
No, but the way I am now, say if it was just a tablet for sorting out my blood pressure, and I walked in there and he went, "Oh, hello," and he said, "Yeah, let's pop that." I'd go, "Hang on a minute." But what I mean is that night I would have just let him put 3 up. Honestly, it's just weird, isn't it? How your body just goes, let him get on with it, and you trust anyone, don't you? When you're in that much pain and you need
And
help.
they're a qualified nurse, yes.
They gave me some morphine, and my sort of head caved in again like last time, and then the pain went. But anyway, just turns out that I'd had a load of like blood clots in the bit from my kidney to my bladder, and that was acting as a sort of a stone again.
No, it's just,
So
it's
that's
just
what-
a scab, isn't it, where it's curing it? So.
No, but all the work, when they blew up the kidney 4 times its normal size, so there was no hiding place for the stone.
Yeah.
So when they did that, it caused a lot of blood. It must have ripped the sides of it and stuff. And then that blood was in the kidney, and it went down the pipe and blocked it up a little bit. And that's the pain that I had. It was sort of, had problems getting through all this thick blood that they'd caused. So, the weirdest thing that happened when I was in there, right, the morning, like, after I'd had the morphine and what have you, right, I slept pretty well. But I woke up, and you have, like, a telly for your own bed, that you're allowed to use if you pay for it, right? So the glow from that woke me up because they come on at about 7:10, and the telly's in front of your head, right? So you're getting this glow and you're going, "Oh, what's that now?" And I looked at it, and all it had written on it is, "Carl received bad news about your father," right? And I was like, is this what they do now? Because it's such a big hospital, did they just text you sort of news to your bed? And I was kind of like, like I say, it was early, it was 7:10 or whatever. Thinking, what's going on? I didn't have my mobile, Suzanne took that. And I was looking at it, I read it again, I thought, it might come up with more, like, what's up with him? Turns out it was just a review for Neighbours. It just tells you, it tells you what's on the telly that day. And there's some fella in Neighbours who's called Carl, whose dad went bad. So that sort of woke me up a bit. I had a bit of a shock then. It was kind of like, so I was wide awake at like 7:15 in the morning because my heart went a bit fast because I thought something had happened to me dad.
Carl, of course, has written a poem about the experience entitled My Ward.
All I've done here, I've been through I don't know what the word is, a bad experience.
Trauma.
A trauma, yeah, I've been through a load of trauma. So I'm just finishing it off with a little sort of picture for people
Go on then.
in my ward. It's called my ward. Me, a Chinese fella, and an old bloke who looked like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons. Don't know what was wrong with him, but breaking wind was the symptoms. No one visited him or called him. he seemed quite lost to me. As well as wind problems, he had a colostomy.
Back.
When I left, I said, see you to the old man. Turned out the other fella wasn't Chinese, he was from Japan. I never found out what was up with him. You've got a little picture there, haven't you, of me sat in my ward. I'm sat there with that fella who I didn't talk to, the old fella who had wind problems. And that's what a poem is, isn't it?
But the detail about you thought he was Chinese and he turned out to be Japanese, how is that evocative? That's just a piece of misinformation.
It's just
I like it.
I imagine a lot of people make
I
that
like
same
it because
mistake.
you know why? It's like he even makes digressions within his poem.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like he could have gone back and erased that, but he didn't. He left that digression in, and I think that's great.
It's very honest.
Yeah. So, you know, you've done quite a few bits there from the diary, right? The other week you were saying a diary to sort of be famous and what have you, it's got to have a big event in it. That's a big event in my life, right?
Mm.
Peeps did a diary that had big events in it. You said about the fire on Pudding Lane. I had a kidney stone here.
You write about puddings you've had.
So is that as big as, is that a proper diary thing?
It's a proper diary anyway.
I think personally, the 5 or 6 pages you've written about your ill health are genuinely interesting, and I'm sure in years to come it will be an interesting evocation of the NHS in this modern age and how it is, what it's like to be in hospital.
What other diaries are out there?
Well, a lot of them are fictional, of course, Bridget Jones and the like. There are lots of memoirs, but to
I
publish a
don't
whole
know
diary,
why.
I mean, you can
Well,
get...
the two most famous diaries I'd have thought was Pepys and Anne Frank.
But
Yeah.
Kenneth Williams' diaries were published after his death. Many celebrity diaries have been published. Alec Guinness, people like that.
And is that just their last year, or did they do it when they were doing a lot? Because
Oh,
if
yeah.
they're old and sort of not working well, a diary isn't that good.
Well, often the moments, you know, prior to their passing are some of the most interesting. You see their final thoughts and final days.
Yeah, but you say different things when you're ill. When I was on that table about to go under and you're thinking this might be it, different thoughts on the world. Do you know what I mean? Different priorities.
What's the most profound thing that you thought that you know it was because of your illness?
Just as I went under, the last thing I said to this woman was, "Oh, you look different with that on." And
Oh, you look different with a hat on.
yeah, it was a woman who gave me the injection, and she'd been round to the bed beforehand, sort of saying, "Right, you're allergic to this. Can you eat strawberries?" And I was a bit like, "Why are you asking me that?" And she went, "Well, no, a lot of people are allergic to strawberries." And I was saying, "But is there any trace of strawberries in the stuff?" And she's like, "No, it's just that a lot of people are." And I said, "Well, no, I eat them." And then she's like, "What about fish?" And I said, "I like some, but I haven't had them all." And and then she turned to Suzanne at that point and said, "What, do you know of anything he can't eat?" She sort of said,
like turning to the mother.
Yeah.
When the child can't answer.
but she was this woman, and she didn't have a hat on or anything. And then when I went down there, I didn't realise it was the same woman until I was lying there and she started to inject me. And I just said, "Oh, you look different with that on." And then I went out, and when I woke up, the woman sort of came round and just sort of said, "Oh, it's weird that was the last thing, like you said." And that made me think that could have been my last, you know, like fighting on the beaches or whatever. That could have been my little thing.
You look different with a hat on, Karl Pilkington.
Oh, God.
In its own way, it's quite wise. People do look different with hats on.
I think his last words would be something like, "Can this kill you?"
Yeah. Suzanne, can you drink bleach?